Yes.
Hello.
Hi, hello Spartans. How are you? Welcome to the Class of Leadership program. Today we have very limited time, and we have two Spartans who are showing their leadership in a very short time. Because sometimes we have less time. How you express your ideas and the focus on your products, what you are going to say. So first of all, I'll invite Pragati Sharma, who is based in Delhi, NCR, but at this moment she'll be talking from Chicago. She is held up due to the lockdown position period. So she is very much open-minded. 1 minute, I'm getting a call. I just missed it. Sorry. So she is very well open-minded, well experienced, very well educated from different institutions. She has a nature of helping people. She is very good in communications. That is why she thought to say something within 10 minutes, the principles of communication. So I welcome Pragati Sharma to come to say what she has it in her mind within 10 minutes. Welcome, Pragati.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashwini. This is such an honor for me. Hello, everyone. Hope all of you are doing well. Can you give me a big thumbs up if you're all feeling great today? Thank you. So I'm going to talk to you about the principles of communication training. And I was just trying to screen share something along with that. So these are other straightforward guidelines which ensure that the learner gains maximum from the efforts put in by the SME. Follow these and it's a short way to maximize the results. The first one, of course, is that you have to know your learner. And that's very, very essential. Just give me a second, please. Yeah, so the first one is know your learners. Research and understand the student's personal and educational background. You can tailor make the classes and make them more effective that way. Learning about the student's culture, about their first language and their past experiences is very, very useful in preparing the lesson plans and the projects. Use the KYC approach, I feel, which the banks are using. But be careful not to be too intrusive, especially with the adult learners. They don't want to, disclose too much information. I, for instance, work with a lot of foreign students, Japanese and Koreans, and knowing about their culture and, using things like san, like we say Ashwini ji. So I call them by, Mr. Toki san, that they really like that if you use their language a little bit. So once you know your learners, the next step, of course, is to create conditions for language learning. So I'll just move the slide to the next one. So the next one was know your learners, and then you have to create the appropriate conditions for communication. A positive, pleasant atmosphere during the session makes the learners feel very comfortable and more confident. So this, I'd like to share a incident when I was teaching at an NGO last year, and I ran into a roadblock because these students were young learners and they were not very energetic. My sessions were post lunch and they didn't want to, really sit inside the classroom and do the sessions. My solution was simple. I decided to take the class outdoors and teach them a simple song, head, shoulder, knees, and toes. So what happened was this approach is called total physical response. The learners are involved not just verbally, but physically also. And they're highly engaged in the physical activity. And in the process, they imbibe the communication skills and a lot of body language also. The next is just plan. Planning is so essential because if you don't organize your lesson plan, it will definitely not be successful. Meaningful, exceptional lesson plans, that's the way to go. Engage your students in authentic real life communication scenarios. They all have latent knowledge of the language or the communication skills, but you need to give them things like role plays and opportunities to utilize that communication skill in real life scenarios. This is called the total immersion technique. Immerse them in that scenario. So I worked with a group of teachers, middle school teachers from Thailand, last year that was. So they came to India and they stayed here for about 4 months and immersed themselves completely in the Indian culture and simultaneously wanting to learn English to utilize in their country. And I think that technique worked remarkably well for them because they were completely immersed in this style of learning. The next one, of course, is that you have to adapt. And what better time to discuss that than now? Constantly adapting the lesson plans. Yeah, just trying to move to the next slide. Just give me a second. Yeah. So yeah, the ability to adapt is so essential. This could mean adapting your activities, your material, adjusting to all the, to the flexibility of the students. It's it's essential for us to stay disciplined in that. And a lot of us have had to move our entire process online. And so that's been quite a challenge, but I think we are all handling it really well. The fifth principle for communication training is to monitor and assess the students' development as they go along. Students have differential abilities. They all learn in different ways and speeds. Therefore, communication experts should prepare different forms of assessment for people at different levels, of course. And that brings us to the point of feedback, which is very essential. How does one do that without sounding condescending and outright rude sometimes, especially when you're working with adult learners? So that's very essential. So the way to do that is to use the three-pronged approach. Always ask the learner to first self-assess right after they've completed a task. It works really well. Leading questions such as, how long did you engage in a role play? Was that sufficient? That helps the student to instantly reflect into their activity. This must be followed by peer evaluation. Monitor that closely, because as a facilitator, you have to ensure that this doesn't become a bullying session where they're trying to show each other down. And finally, wrap it up by giving feedback as the trainer. And this also has to always be, first you give the positive feedback and then give any tips for improvement. Eventually, the SME will give the feedback, and then you have to just point out a few crucial errors and not all the mistakes probably which the learner's making. The commitment of the learner will be immense this way, because they will know that they're actively involved in this, in their own progression. And last but not the least, the sixth and the final principle of communication training is that engage and collaborate with a community of practice. It suggests that the SMEs should collaborate with each other. This may be done by sharing their training experiences, reflecting critically on these training practices like we are doing right now, joining professional groups, maybe attending academic conferences, and engaging in online learning groups, which are part of the similar practice. So these are the six main, and of course we all need to stay abreast with the latest skills and the 21st century skills like this slide here shows. And you have to keep honing your creativity skills and keep improving your own communication skills in order to pass it on to your learners. They say alone we can do little, but together we can achieve a lot. So find a group that is challenging and that inspires you. And for me, that was Spartans. And so glad that Mr. Ashwini let me be a part of this group. And I'm so glad that I could do that. Yeah, so that's my little 2 cents on the 6 principles of communication training. And and I hope anyone has any questions, please do let me know. I would love to answer any questions on that.
Thank you so much, Pragati, for giving us such an educative as well as a productive message, which we really need for this communications. Without this, we cannot move on. So our next session is coming up by Kritika Chaturvedi, and she's based in Goa. She's the wife of a naval officer, and she has been traveling to different states wherever her husband is being posted. So she had been in the industry for the last 10 years for working in the